I haven't gotten your feedback so much yet on the Matt Eberflus firing, on the Ryan Poles and the Kevin Warren press conference, and on all that stuff. What were your thoughts? Because I actually haven't heard them yet.
So I'll start with square one on yesterday, Monday.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears obviously did a press release starting with Poles and Warren. And between the two, there was a really stark contrast, right? Ryan Poles almost looked like he had just took his family dog behind the barn and had to put him out of his misery. He looked so sad and just defeated. Whereas a lot of the national guys are saying that Kevin Warren seems to be someone who knows what he wants. He should be calling the shots, things like that. But I personally disagree on that. We don't have to, deep dive into that. But regardless, it didn't make me feel good as a Bears fan watching that. It didn't give me much confidence. But obviously, in the same breath, those guys are not going to give you any, super important details. They're not going to give you a short list, any sort of list whatsoever. So it's to be expected. But then our new interim head coach, Thomas Brown, got to speaking, and he almost made me enlist for the Army. I mean, this guy, he got me ready to go. Very, very happy that he's going to be the guy who's the interim head coach. He's the first ever interim head coach for the Chicago Bears, to my understanding, at least in 100+ years. So I don't know. I'm excited for him. He did have some juicy details as far as I forgot the guy's name, Chris Beatty. He's going to be the eyes in the skies, the pseudo offensive coordinator, but Thomas Brown, who will be a head coach from the sideline on the grass, will also be calling the plays. And then Eric Washington is going to fill in as the defensive coordinator. We don't have to spend too much time on the Bears. Obviously, want to hear your thoughts as well. But just moving forward, for anyone who isn't a Bears fan and doesn't listen to us regularly, Thomas Brown has it all in front of him, and he absolutely could be the head coach moving forward into next year. And obviously, this is the best possible version of an interview, in my opinion, a 5-game experience.
Agreed on that point. I just want to, me and you, Karl, for some reason have awesome interaction on chat days just whenever we show. So I want to make sure to just always throw so much love to chats every time. So Daniel, thank you for participating, for watching. Just wanted to say hello to Daniel. Thanks for the shout out. And Foster, love
Who's
Foster,
that,
man.
who's that old guy? No,
Yeah,
Foster, I hope you're doing well, man. I know you had some things going on behind the scenes. Thank you so much for interacting with the chat. Hope you enjoy. And yeah,
yeah.
hope you had a good Thanksgiving as well.
Frankly, Foster, if you're ever in the mood, even on a Tuesday, to just kind of hop in and chat and talk some NFL, you're always welcome as well. So thanks for saying hi, Foster, and hope you're well hope you're had a good turkey day as well, and hope you're doing all right. So just to kind of summarize my points, we did a little bit more deep dive with Nomad yesterday. With Nomad, I just really like talking with Nomad. I don't know if you're familiar with Nomad, but he had a lot of calm, patient, and insightful points on it, which 24 hours later, I'm trying to be calm and a little bit more insightful like Nomad. But my overall thoughts on it is I still don't like Kevin Warren. I don't like what he is doing in terms of showing up during press conferences, how much the national media is now considering him to be kind of in charge. I don't know what's going on there. I think you got way too many cooks in the kitchen. I think he's going to be a hand puppet for George for the most part, and he's going to be kind of like what proxy George sends into these meetings and stuff like that. If he's not, and I'm proven wrong, great. If he is, then it's more to be expected. The biggest issue I have is with Kevin kind of interfering and hopping in now. I find it to be weird with all these different people on different timelines, and I think that's something that the Bears just constantly get wrong. If Kevin Warren is here to stay, I'd be shocked because as soon as that stadium is built, I think he's leaving as well. He's older. He's long in the tooth. I don't see him doing another roundabout with another team as a team president unless he's helping build another stadium somewhere that's a little bit easier and less corrupt than Chicago or Arlington. So
yeah, I don't know if you've seen anything regarding the Cleveland Browns. They are looking to do the same, essentially move out of their spot. I think they're only going to be moving like 15 miles, but they're going to be building a stadium, and it feels like it's kind of the same fight that the Bears are kind of intertwined with right now.
So maybe Kevin Warren will do something like that.
Now, this just popped into my head, right? We as Bears fans know that Ryan Poles' right-hand man is Mr. Ian Cunningham. And we did not hear his first or last name one time yesterday. Didn't see him. There's no chatter about him. This literally just pops into my mind, right? Are they going to even have him involved whatsoever? Or are they kind of assuming that he's going to be gone and be a general manager on another team going into next year?
It's a great question. I don't have an answer. Honestly, nothing would shock me at this point. I think maybe. I also think in my mind, and I don't know where Ryan Poles is, and as a man of integrity, I did listen to Nomad on Nomad Network after our show, and he had a great point about just kind of like, if you're Ryan Poles and you took that job and you have some integrity and they're hiring you and they're telling you to do the coaching search, but with supervision and whatever they mentioned over and over during the press conference and all those weird you got to read between the lines because that's what you got to do with the Bears, right? I wouldn't be shocked if Ryan Poles was just like, you know what, you hired me to be the general manager and you're not letting me be the general manager. I quit, and they promote Ian Cunningham for all I know. I'm not saying that that's what I predict, but would it shock you at this point when Ryan Poles is sitting there looking like he just got scolded like a 5-year-old? I don't know anymore. If not, then yeah, I'm with you. Maybe even Ian Cunningham kind of goes away. I think he's been doing a great job. But this whole year, I think, is going to set doubts in the entire NFL about what the management staff in Chicago has been doing over the last few years, if that makes sense. So maybe Ian Cunningham doesn't look as sexy as a general manager candidate as he did last year. So I don't know.
It's very possible, and I don't want to dwell on the Bears topic specifically.
Yeah.
Daniel
and we're only at 7 minutes. Let's give it 5 more.
Daniel Jeffries definitely agrees with us. He's thinking that Ian Cunningham would actually be the next general manager of the Bears. I'll give the flip side of the coin, the devil's advocate here. I like that Ryan Poles was looking sad in a sense that if he truly was the one who decided that Eberflus should be the head coach going into this year, and then ended up knowing that he needed to fire him, I like seeing the emotion. I mean, it's a business. I know that you and Paul always preach that it's cold-blooded, ruthless, and that's how you win football games, which I agree with. But Ryan Poles, he hasn't given me any bad vibes. Definitely not an Alan Williams situation, and he hasn't done anything too terribly bad as far as his football decisions either. I know that that's something that's always highly scrutinized. But if the emotion just means that he's going to try that much harder to get it right moving forward, I agree that he should be the man to see what can happen because, like I've told you, the hardest thing to do in sports is to get the quarterback right, and Ryan Poles has got the quarterback right, in my humble opinion, for the Bears.
One more time, just Shorty, you're going to need to calm down on the language here before you get banned.
Well, he needs to calm down on the edibles, but that's a different discussion.
I don't like anybody calling anybody a JT here. I don't know if you get that reference. That's a movie reference. Shorty might get that with Jive Turkey. But
I saw that on like Triple R's thumbnail as well. I'm sorry, I'm ignorant.
Yeah, if you don't watch movies, go check out Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell. It's a great movie. There's a great scene about Jive Turkeys in there. And then Foster, not a Kevin Warren fan myself, could be McCaskey's. Arlington Heights is the place, but in Chicago is only cost Bears $2 billion, but in Arlington they'd have to pay the $5 billion. Yeah, I mean, I think Chicago politics has never interested me other than the fact that I never understand where all of our money is going. And so I don't really
mansion. I'm sorry.
I agree with you. I mean, I remember when weed got legalized, but and we were supposed to get like $10 billion a year. Never heard a thing about that again. So whatever. I don't know the nuances of what the Bears are doing with the Arlington thing. I know that they claim to be able to afford it. The league is not the MLB. It's a what do you call that? The communal sharing pot of revenue sharing, whatever that's called. So the Bears aren't poor; they're not cash poor, but they might not be as rich as like a David Tepper, where he can front that whole bill himself. So maybe the Bears are struggling to find partners. I wouldn't want to partner with George McCaskey. I'll say that. And yeah, who knows? I mean, I think their scheduled opening of this stadium is 2027. I would expect 2030 and no sooner. So maybe, we'll be in our 40s by the time we see something new. So Daniel Jeffries, like you said, agrees with us, maybe Ian Cunningham being the next new GM. If Ryan Poles is not willing to play ball, we don't know how that's going to shake out. But if Kevin Warren really is all of a sudden just going to say he's super in charge and kind of step in there and just do the thing. Maybe he will let him go, and it'll go from there. And and then sorry, Daniel, it's a little bit more of a basketball reference. I think we want to kind of push through real quick. One more thing I would like to just dwell on this for a hot second more. And the comment made by Kevin Warren, and now that I've seen a little bit circulate through the national media. That's why we're trying to keep it national. This is a big deal. This is a big story. It just happens to be about our team. Do you truly believe, and this is my first question, actually, do you believe that this is the best head coaching and job opportunity into next year that is available? Like Kevin Warren said.
Again, I think this goes hand in hand with my opinion that the hardest thing to do in sports is get the quarterback right. Some may feel that Caleb Williams is not their style of quarterback. They didn't choose him, blah, blah, blah. I can guarantee you that at least 80% of the NFL, if they had a chance to draft Caleb Williams last year, they would have. So I don't have any issues with that. I don't think anyone who's going to end up being the Bears head coach is going to have a problem with him either. And as far as the actual team roster construction, I think right now, as things stand currently, the Chicago Bears have 4 picks in the top 75. So now we're talking about absolute, real serious, draft capital. And you can use that to shape a roster real quick, have your stamp imprinted, but you've also still got a lot of talent, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with Keenan Allen. The defense, obviously, if they change to a 3-4, there's going to have to be a little bit of shifting of the guard there, too. But in my opinion, there's enough there to be able to come in as the head coach, get your team the way that you want it to, and if it doesn't work out in the first year, again, next year should still be competitive. I really have no doubts about that. And then I think the exact comment was something along the lines of, are the Bears the most sought-after job as far as a head coaching opportunity in the NFL? It could change. We don't know who's going to get fired. We don't know if a Mr. Kyle Shannahan is going to find his way to Chicago. I don't know. Maybe someone would value the 49ers more at that point. Heck, the Bengals might fire their head coach as well. We don't know. I don't think it's wrong, I guess is my short answer is I can't see it being flat out wrong.
To just add to that point, if Ian Cunningham does choose to leave or gets hired, that's an additional 2 third-round picks going to the Bears. That gives you...
It should be, right? I don't want to masquerade and say I know exactly what would happen, but if that's the case, now we're talking oodles and oodles of draft capital.
Yeah, I know that for... I would say I'm 99.5% sure that is the case, that they would get 2 additional third-round picks. And that would mean it would be 6 picks in the top 75, top 80 or whatever it is, what it would be, top 90. I think they get added on to the back end of the draft. So it would be like two more at 97 or 98. You can correct me, Chad, if you know any better, but that's
how you build your football team, right? Like you sell your jerseys, you get your subscriptions, whatever you want to say, you hang your banners for your first round picks, but your team and your starters are primarily day 2 picks. So round 2, round 3, those are some serious assets we're talking about.
2 very quick questions to finish this off, and I promise we're done. Do you have any thoughts? Because I have a very, very opinionated thought on. I know you're not a fan of Albert Breer, but him throwing out a name like Bill Belichick and throwing that into this team. I can see we're going to agree here.
Next. No, I'm just kidding. Bill Belichick, in my opinion, through the Patriots draft results, is a very scary hire. You cannot slander him in the slightest, whether you think it was Tom Brady or Bill Belichick, the chicken or the egg. He was responsible for a dynasty, and a damn good one. He could be the best head coach, NFL head coach of all time. But right now, as things stand currently, what Bill Belichick would want is to have full control. Essentially, he'd be like a Jim Harbaugh. I don't want that. I don't want Bill Belichick anywhere near the Chicago Bears. I think that is not going to work out. I did hear something that would this is a very McCaskey school of thought, right? I believe that Bill Belichick is only continuing and interested in head coaching in the NFL because he's very close to beating the NFL total wins record that was set by Don Shula, and doing that with a Chicago Bears charter franchise. That sounds like a McCaskey thing where they would push for that and be like, oh, we've got to make this history, right? But
not only that, Bill Belichick is obsessed with history of the franchise.
Yeah.
like history of football and all that stuff. So it might jive with both of them.
Right. Well, end of story for me. I'm not interested in Bill Belichick whatsoever.
Me neither. More so on, like you said, the draft results. And then we already talk about how there's too many cooks in this kitchen. I can't imagine a guy you're adding to now be an additional. All right, calm down, Paul. An additional cook in that kitchen, in the draft room and in the coaching room. And then last question, give me your top three choices at coach currently for the Bears.
I'm going to echo this, and I really haven't had any movement, right? So I'll give you 3 different flavors of ice cream here, okay? Unobtainable, absolutely more than likely not going to happen. Trade for Sean McVay. If you guys are interested in the show that you're listening to, go back and watch our previous show. It was on BearskiFilm. It was on Dines My Podcast from this past Saturday, I believe the 30th. I had laid out and proposed that we trade for Sean McVay because all NFL head coaches that have been acquired with draft capital essentially are slam dunk home runs. Hall of Fame type guys. Literally, Bill Belichick was acquired via draft capital. So that's my number 1 option. Number 2 option, more of a realistic, who's available and could absolutely see this happening. We're hearing this term leader of men, and as far as realistic candidates, when I hear that, it's Mike Vrabel. I would not be mad at Mike Vrabel. I know that he's essentially kind of from the Bill Belichick school of thought, of course, but he has a new school to it, and when you look at those Titan teams that were competitive, that were like the Kansas City Chiefs kryptonite, I think that if we could get that with Chicago with a very, very, very good quarterback, I could see some good things happening in Chicago with Mike Vrabel. And then third, and maybe not least, Thomas Brown. It's all in front of Thomas Brown. If he can get his wins, especially against Green Bay this year, and get Caleb Williams back into, outside of the stratosphere that I think that he deserves to be in, these Rookie of the Year talks. If Thomas Brown can get that, then by all means, man, let's run it back and see what happens. But what do you think, Dave?
Pretty much exactly the same. Instead of Sean McVay, I have Kyle Shanahan just because I think it's, at this point, a little bit more attainable. I think San Francisco might be ready to move on from him as well, so the draft compensation might not be necessarily as much. Or not at all if they just have like a mutual parting of ways where they just can't stand each other, can't work together anymore. So that might be an unrealistic but high level one. My number 2 is Thomas Brown, though. I just shuffled a Vrabel Thomas Brown, but I think for you it's probably a similarly interchangeable thing. To me, I think minus a Kyle Shanahan, and I said this yesterday on mine and Paul's show, I think the Bears just have to hope for wing and a prayer at this point. That's just how their franchise operates. They have to get lucky and hope that somebody just ends up being really good, kind of falling into their lap. And that's what happened with Lovey, what happened with a lot of their players. And so we just have to hope for somebody to just kind of fall into your lap. And then, number 3 is Mike Vrabel. Exactly. So that's my 3. I have no interest in like the Ben Johnson sexy picks, the Cliff Kingsburys or anything like that. Don't give me a sexy pick. Give me a football pick. Give me a smart pick. Make it interesting, but yeah, definitely I'm past that. So I'm ready to move on to NFL stuff. We spent way too much time on the Bears. Like it or not, Paul, the Bears are very important national news right now. So whether it's for good or bad, if this was happening to another team, we'd probably be talking about it leading the show as well. So unfortunately, it's just kind of what it is. And then one time real quick, I just want to address Daniel Jeffries. Thank you for participating. Saw that show the trade option for a top tier coach is a viable option, but Vrabel is my second choice, but TB is my solid third. So yeah, I think right now most Bears fans who are semi, locked in and are intelligent Bears fans, I think we have some of the smarter fans in the league as a whole. I think we're all in the same place. And please,
do you know what it is, Dave?
He's listening. It's not Ben Johnson and everything else.
Slick Sophistication, welcome into the chat, buddy. It's not only that the Bears fan base is educated, which I agree with you, they are, but they're educated because there's so much reach. I mean, go onto YouTube right now and search for Detroit Lions podcast, Minnesota Vikings podcast. You're going to have your cult followings, but there's so many Bears podcasters, and it's awesome because we get to come together, whether you're listening, intermingling with each other, which is what I love about this space. But that's what I think it is that there's so much reach.
Yeah, I'm with you. Slick Sophistication saying I like Zach Taylor and would keep him with Thomas, and he would keep Thomas Brown. I don't know how much overlap they have. I know Zach Taylor is part of the McVay system, and he does have good success with Joe Burrow. How much of that is Joe Burrow? I don't necessarily know. There are a few weak spots on that team that maybe necessarily are similar to Chicago that I don't want to see here replicated. And I know for a fact we don't have Joe Burrow yet. So he might be there one day, but we just don't have Joe Burrow yet. So how successful he would be here, I don't know. I think he's a little bit more risky
Sadly,
than the rest.
we also don't have Jamar Chase, but your point is very well heard.
I just wanted to kind of go into the chat for a hot second, just because I saw something in here that did make me that made me chuckle inside a little bit. And that was how badly poor Mr. Shorty has been broken. If I can find it, Mr. Shorty was saying something about the fact that he has zero, and I mean zero, confidence in the Bears getting this correct this time around for the head coaching search, and that he is almost to the point where he would prefer Bill Belichick.
Let me tell you what my good friend PJ has to say about Mr. Shorty as far as his football takes. And I hope it's just the football takes. I hope it's not everything, Shorty. But the highs are too high and the lows are too low.
There it is. Here it is. The highs are too high. This is definitely, the low is very low right now. The only coach I would really want is Bill Belichick. No, I'm going to tell you that right now. But we'll talk to you when Shorty's balanced out a little bit in the middle of summer and got his hype up a little bit.
When we talk about ceilings and floors, Bill could have the lowest floor, and that should be terrifying.
Yeah, you might go back down to 3-13 with Bill. So let's
and drive Caleb Williams away or ruin him outright because he's going to bring in his Josh McDaniels, egotistical. I don't want none of it.
Matt Patricia, imagine.
Matt Patricia, the offensive coordinator. Oh my God.
Yeah, J2K is in the chat. Welcome, J2K. Love it when he joins us in every way.
Sure
Prometheus, I love your takes and all that stuff. In this case, I'm usually with you. I think, honestly, I've been converted basically single-handedly by Karl, and maybe with a combination of Sean Payton, that these trades for coaches, when you know they're a surefire slam dunk, I think they pay for themselves and then some. 2 first-rounders to pay for Sean McVay specifically, because at this point I would say, Karl, I'd be willing to pay more straight-up draft capital for Sean McVay than I would Kyle Shanahan. There's something about Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan might be able to be obtained for free,
That's what I'm saying.
I would bet your social security number on the black market, Dave, that Sean McVay is not available unless you shock the world, and that's with 3 firsts. I don't know. Yes. But again, it's not going to feel pretty. It's not going to look good. But go ahead and get to your next point. I want to see what Sean Payton cost. And Sean Payton was essentially readily available.
Yeah. 3 first-rounders is where I start getting really, really uncomfortable. But yeah, I'm still in that mindset. The only thing with with Kyle Shanahan as well is now you just put him into a conference with our boy Matt LaFleur, who tends to take his lunch as well. So
sure, not wrong. That might just be an organizational thing as well. But as far as the trade for Sean Payton, who again was actively subbing in on the Fox pregame show as a broadcaster, right. New Orleans received a 2023 first, a 2024 second, and the Broncos in return got Sean Payton as well as a 2024 third. So you're talking about a first and second round pick, but getting a third back, and you're getting a coach who is able to identify a quarterback, essentially the worst round 1 quarterback, and get him to Rookie of the Year candidacy. I mean, it would be worth it. I have no doubts. The doubts that I do have is that A, do the McCaskies do it, and B, does Sean McVay want it?
If you want to, and then we can do our game picks. I kind of want to I rattled off how hard. Because you mentioned something to me, Karl. The quarterback is by far the hardest thing to get right in the NFL. Once you get that right, the coach is a little bit easier.
If you made notes on that, I think it's sports. I think that whether you're trying to trade for your starting left winger in soccer, whether you're trying to get your Cy Young pitcher in baseball, I think the quarterback is the hardest thing to acquire and get right in sports.
Fair. I agree with you there. I just want to kind of maybe just emphasize a little bit how actually challenging the head coaching hire is as well. Because I would say, depending on how many quarterbacks change hands every year versus coaches, there's a much smaller, I think, contingency of good coaches with a smaller amount of them changing rather
Yeah.
than all these head coaches getting constant chances and a lot of them fizzling out. So just on the last 2 years, I just want to emphasize the point of how hard this is. And I'm going to name some names. Some of them are still kind of up in the air. You can kind of give me a thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down about where you think these guys stand on maybe their coaching trees. So 2022, we had Mike McDaniel.
You're asking me like the coach itself, not the tree, just where they're
Yeah,
coming
just
from.
no. How do you feel about that coach on that team in their position as it currently stands? I would say,
McDaniel on the Dolphins.
yeah,
It's here, but it's really
yep.
more like here. It's not here
I'm here.
yet. It's
I'm going
here.
up a little bit, but yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So okay, here's the easy triple thumbs up, quadruple thumbs up. You ready? Kevin O'Connell. Both of us just every thumb you've got. Put up your
Resurrected
toes.
Sam Darnold. That's his Christmas topper as his star accomplishment.
Yeah. Brian Dable. Right. Doug Peterson through the screen. Todd Bowles. Josh McDaniels. Whoo, that was quick. Eberflus. Dennis Allen. Hard down. Lovey Smith in Houston. If you're a Bears fan.
Bears fan?
Bears fan up, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and then Nathaniel Hackett,
Double.
right? So we just named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 head coaching hires in 2022. Out of 10, if you gave 10 quarterbacks a chance to kind of put their job on the line, I would say it'd be a higher percentage than one successful easy thumbs up. And we had one good thumbs up and a couple of medium ups. So just for an example, and then here's your last year's hires: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Gerard Mayo, medium to down. Antonio Pierce, hard down. That one everybody saw it coming. I don't understand how that. I would have felt so bad for them.
I
Brian
hate being partial to that because I really wanted him to work out. I like the way that I like his demeanor, but it's unfortunately trending down.
couldn't have cared less, but I just saw the writing on the wall of yeah, that was just really bad. Um, let's see, we got Brian Callahan in Tennessee. I think that's a big no. I think that's a big thumbs down. That's real bad. Jim Harbaugh. Whoop, flip that up real
Two
quick.
of them.
Dave Canales. I think it's
Which
like
one?
here. Dave Canales in Carolina.
Hey, he benched Bryce Young. Bryce Young almost came back and beat the Chiefs. I know we're talking about the Chiefs essentially in the down year. If he can resurrect Bryce Young past my Bears fandom, after this year, I'll root for the Panthers outright. As things stand right now, I'm saying it's sideways. It wants to go up real bad, but
Yeah,
maybe that owner is pushing it down.
right. Raheem Morris in Atlanta.
Hey, they gave Kirk Cousins a lot of money. They got to let the rookie go. I'm saying sideways for right now. I
Oh,
think that they lose
sideways
that
with
division.
going down.
Depends on the quarterback, though. They already picked their quarterback, so let them play.
Yeah. Mike McDonald in Seattle. I'm going to give that one a full on up. I like Mike McDonald.
I guess I can't say anything bad about them, but like the one time I did watch them, they beat the 49ers. Geno Smith finally overcame that. I don't know, man. I'm gonna give it a sideways because I don't feel too educated about it. I could see it going down though, because I could see them not winning that division, which is weird to say.
To me, the only reason I would say up is because he is a defensive coach with a team that got really bad on defense the year prior. The thing that made them good the year prior was the offense being up, thanks to the great offensive coordination over there with Pete Carroll and I forgot the demon's name already. God,
Shane Waldron.
Shane Waldron. Thank you. And now it's kind of flip flop. That offense is kind of sputtering. They're still pretty solid, but their defense is up. And then we've got Dan Quinn.
Why am I drawing a blank on Dan Quinn? Oh, Washington Redskins.
Washington. Yep.
Good job, guy.
Yeah. So last year's coaching hires are probably a little bit more obvious to the thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe because it's a sample size that's a lot smaller. I just kind of wanted to emphasize how difficult that coaching hire can be and is. And because a lot of these guys get cycled through the same interviews. So even with the 10 or 15 teams that may need a coach or however many, it's usually 8 to 10, 8 to 12. They cycle through and these guys kind of bounce around through these interview process. One of them gets them, one of them doesn't. So I don't know how you felt a lot about a lot of these coaching hires. They weren't that obvious at the time. They weren't obvious at the moment that they went. So when I said I could see the Bears doing something stupid and I would know it right away, I could be right about that. I could be wrong. But what I do know is, generally speaking, you're going to see a lot of these same coaches and candidates kind of cycle through, and we're going to see some that we thought were right be wrong, and some that we thought were wrong be right. I just don't want to risk it with like a Ben Johnson hire and be that team that hired, I don't know, Brian Callahan or Todd Bowles or Dennis Allen, Nat Hackett. Like, I don't know. I just, it's so scary to me, but.
Yeah, it's not going to be about the Bears acquiring a top-tier offensive head coach as more as long as the head coach is the right fit, the right man for the job, what can we bring in alongside with that as far as an offensive coordinator? And again, very possible the Bears have what they need in-house. We're going to figure out 5 games is going to be more than enough, in my opinion, to see what Thomas Brown is about. If Thomas Brown isn't the guy, you don't like a Mike Vrabel, just go and trade for a proven commodity. Don't waste any more time with your all-world quarterback.
That's where I'm at, too.
I do want to point out John 2.0 in the chat. We appreciate everyone who's chatting. But winning games is not a quarterback stat. So, yes, you can say you have to start winning. That USC team that he played on last year was fucking awful. So, I was told that Miller Moss was the savior. He won a meaningless bowl game, and Miller Moss saved USC. Remember? Oh, we've got a fucking team now. Nope. He's in the transfer portal, buddy. So.
Paul and I make this reference to kind of, because we're with you, Karl, I think it's one of the worst things to bring up in terms of quarterback ability is the winning record and all that stuff, and players need to learn how to win. You could easily just translate in this year alone 4 comeback wins from the quarterback if the coach and the defense play a little bit better.
Yep.
Secondly, how much did winning early and winning all the time work out for Mitch Trubisky?
Yeah, I mean, obviously his rookie year when he subbed in for Mike Lennon, no good. But then the 2018 team, nothing to do with Trubisky, everything to do with Vic Fangio and that defense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell like pretty quickly that it's not a Caleb problem, in my opinion. I think he's leading the team.
Yeah.
He's leading the horse to water. You can't make the horse drink.
To address Paul, Caleb Williams has not lost any games outright on his own in a way that maybe a John 2.0 is trying to suggest. Absolutely not. We're 4 plays away from 4 added wins to his record, whatever his record. It's the Bears. It's a team.
And when the Bears have a really good head coach and he goes 12-4 next year, are you going to credit the coach again, or is it now because Caleb Williams is so much better in year 2? You never say. You never know, and you can't say it. So I just don't like to entertain that conversation too much because it's just not a quarterback stat. It is and it isn't. It's you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. And if Cairo Santos makes a field goal against Green Bay, maybe we are talking about another Caleb Williams win. Right.
Or if Larry Borum blocks properly, the offensive linemen lock their legs. Our third-string offensive linemen know how to play the game of football, by the way. There's so much that goes into it. Ask Tom Brady what he thinks about Adam Vinatieri, the kicker that you brought up earlier. Adam Vinatieri could be directly responsible for 2 of those rings on Tom Brady's hand, which may have arthritis, by the way, because it's loaded up with fucking Super Bowl rings.
Yeah, and you're not giving all those to Tom Brady as well. You credit him for sure because he won. But
that whole dynasty, including Bill Belichick, the great Bill Belichick, who I don't want on the Bears, they spawned the Patriot way. It wasn't the Tom Brady way.
Correct. I mean, it was there. He probably could have. I don't know how many he would have won with Drew Bledsoe, but it's probably not as many.